to all of you on the panel for your thoughtful comments. The favor we have done all of you by asking you to come on a late Friday afternoon is that our questions will be mercifully brief. I'd like to start by asking, turning the chair, the committee over to the ranking member, Mr. Bachus, for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Let me ask I guess particularly the bankers on the panel, have the recent policy statements and the guidelines that have been issued jointly by the federal regulators provided you any clarity or maneuverability in making loans?
I'll address that, Mr. Bachus. I believe there's some clarity in those guidance, but at the same time, I do have a lot of peers that I speak with, and that clarity is not fully disseminated yet to the field examiners. And so within those guidelines, there's also remains a fair amount of examiner discretion. And so that is a problem from time to time, is that we have not seen the problem mitigated, and we still see a severe regulatory environment. But there is some clarity in there, the spirit of that, but the implementation is still lacking a little bit.
All right. Mr. Brisbane.
Congressman Bachus, I would say that having recently experienced an examination in the month of December, that I would tell you that there is a disconnect between what is being put out from Washington in the form of the guidances and what is actually being delivered to the community bankers at the grassroots level. There is clearly some subjectivity that seems to be going to the excessive, overzealous side.
All right, Mr. Grant.
And I would just like to echo what Mr. Bridgman and Mr. Andrews said. There still is that message out in the field that hasn't gotten through yet. We heard some comments from the examiners today that certain things that just don't generally apply in practice once you get out in the field. So I would just echo what's been said.
Mr. Hoy.
Yeah, we would view that as being, the guidance as being a reiteration of some longstanding guidance that the OCC has had. And I would take a bit of a different view. I think our examinations have been consistent with the guidance that has been provided.
All right. You know, there does seem to be a sort of a disconnect between, you know, Wells, what y'all's experience is that, you know, the lending needs of small businesses are being met. Is that what I heard you say?
Well, I can't speak for the needs of all small businesses, but I can certainly tell you it's something that we are trying very hard to meet. We're hiring more bankers. We're making more loans, and we are clear in the fact that we want to do every good loan we possibly can.
Do you think there's an unmet need among credit-worthy small businesses for loans or for refinancing, or among developers, say, for refinancing? Or do you think? Yeah, I mean, you've heard what some of your fellow panelists have said.
We've seen, I would say, increased competition for lending, particularly over the last few months. In most cases, we're seeing competition between multiple financial services providers competing for individual loan opportunities.
As opposed to are the loans available, or are they just at a higher rate than the small businesses want to pay? Or
yeah, I would say the loan availability issue harkens back to a number of the issues that I mentioned in my testimony, which relates to the fact that I think small businesses are under more stress. I think that in many cases, borrowers, or in most cases, borrowers aren't able to access credit on the same terms that they were able to access credit in 2006, 2007, creating the perception of a change. So I believe that credit is available. Again, we're trying very hard to find all the opportunities and want to do more in the small business area. But there clearly is an availability issue relating, I believe, to the creditworthiness in some cases and rates and terms available to small business owners. And many small business owners are under a lot of economic stress.
Let me ask you this, and I'm particularly interested in, say, a bank the size of Wells. And this is anecdotal evidence, but, you know, from time to time, we do hear small businesses, and when I say small, I'm talking about maybe employing 100 employees, saying that some of the banks, the larger national banks, are not that interested in making small loans. Would maybe any of the panelists like to comment on it? But Mr. Hoyt, is that a...
I don't think anything could be further from the truth for our institution. As I mentioned, we now bank about 1 out of every 10 small businesses in the U.S. Last year, we hired an additional 1,500 bankers to find small business loans, and we intend to hire at least another 700 this year. It's as I mentioned before, we made $40 billion in new loans to our business customers last year.
Are they small businesses? Or?
Small business would have been
Thank
about
you,
$13 billion.
Thank you, Mr. Hood. The gentleman's time has expired.